Oh, hello. Welcome once more to Speakeasy. I am still Paul F. Tompkins. My guest today is a world-renowned stand-up comedian. Which world? This world, the one you're in. Say hello to Russell Peters, ladies and gentlemen. Russell, hello.
Hey.
Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me and a little tequila this afternoon.
That'll get it done.
Hey, you got to sip it.
Absolutely.
You can't, like
That's
a
right.
gentleman. You got to sip it like a gentleman.
Yes. What's the rush?
I'm not trying to get hammered fast. I can get buzzed off of that.
Did you have those days, though, where it was,
You know-
let's do this as quickly as possible?
I never started drinking until I was 31.
Really?
31 years old. I never got drunk, anything before that.
You just felt like it was time to try a new
No,
experience?
I was in South Africa, and this really hot chick was hanging out. And she had a drink, because she had one of those fruity, cooler beverage type things. And she was like, have some. I'm like, I don't drink. And she was like, why not? I don't like the taste. And then she goes, try it, it's fruity. So I tried it, and I go, it wasn't bad. She goes, why don't you drink? I said, I've never been drunk. I think I might be a control freak. And she goes, oh. I go, why do you drink? She goes, because it makes me horny. And I was like, can I get a couple of those, please? And then I got hammered that night.
Do you know, Russell, this so closely parallels the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden.
It's true.
Do you have a drink of choice that you enjoy? Is this it?
I go with tequila, straight, chilled. I like the añejo.
Do beg your pardon.
Yeah, it's the darker one.
Did it take you a while to develop a taste for it? Because that's like going from not drinking at all to tequila is quite a...
I started off with really sweet, fruity drinks.
Right.
And then I moved into sweet, not fruity drinks. And then I've discovered the tequila. I find it low calorie.
Right.
It gets the job done. You don't have to have a lot of it. It's perfect.
Now you travel all over the place. You're getting ready to go to Asia and Australia.
Yeah, Australia and then Asia. That's correct.
So first Australia, you're going to shoot
Australia.
another special there.
In Sydney, we're shooting it.
At the Sydney Opera House?
No, I performed there though. I'm doing the All Phones Arena. What a ridiculous name! What
Is
a
that what it's
fucking
called?
All Phones Arena. It used to be the Acer Arena, which was better because at least Acer owned it.
Yes.
And now all the phones own it, apparently. It's like when I did Madison Square Garden. I did the theater at Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Washington Mutual had just bought it, so it was the Whamu Theater. And I was like, I keep getting fucked on the good names for the good venues.
What's like the craziest thing that has happened in your travels around the globe?
I don't know if anything particularly crazy. Well, I mean, I guess hanging out with the King of Jordan was pretty insane.
Sure. Let's say that.
Having him cook dinner and... He was
did
just
he
a
make?
regular. Oh, he made this delicious Kobe beef steak. It was amazing. Like
He's just doing some grilling out back?
he had like a teppanyaki kitchen. It was no bigger than this room right here. So the teppanyaki grills in the middle, and we sat around it like at a bar. There was snacks on the table over there, and he was like, "How do you like this done?" And
What kind of snacks did the King of Jordan set out
he
for
had
you?
Oreo cookies and like stuff you'd be like, "Yeah, I could go for an Oreo cookie right now."
Sure, when can't you? So
Yeah.
first Australia to do this special and then Asia. So you just don't like not being on planes, right?
No, you can't not like but people I hate people. So what are you doing? Did you go on vacation in your spare time? No, that involves more travel. Fuck traveling. I just want to stay in one place. Let me sleep in my own bed for more than 1 week, and I'll be very happy.
How long of a break do you ever get? Because you just seem to always be going at it all the time.
This is my big break. One week.
Wow. How long does it take you to get antsy on a break before you feel like I got to get back out on stage again?
I would say this 1 week will do that.
Yeah?
I'll probably hit one of the clubs this week and do a spot somewhere. Maybe even tonight. I just don't want to get rusty.
What?
Especially.
Is that what the fear is?
That's my fear because I always find I start getting too lazy. It's almost like it's like boxing, If you're not training every day, there's a good chance you're gonna get punched in the face from somebody else.
Right. And you boxed as a kid.
Yeah, and I'm boxing again now. I'm training to get back in shape for the special. I don't want to be fatter than I need to be.
Right.
After 40, it's a challenge.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's nothing worse than watching yourself and you know you have like a little bit of extra weight on and it's all you can see.
That's all I focus on.
Yeah.
How many chins are on there? It's good. Good. Hey, fat
You're
face.
just like performing like this. What
I'm
else
doing
is
this.
going on, you guys?
You guys okay tonight?
This is how I am. This is my face.
This is my new jaw look.
Now you had a special. It was an early special of yours, if not your first.
The one that blew me up, so to speak? No, that was my third special.
That was your third special, okay.
That was my third special.
But this one, someone uploaded the whole thing to the internet, but then they divided it into segments, into the different bits.
Yeah, there was a genuine racial divide.
Yeah, because in your comedy, you talk a lot about the foibles of pretty much everybody. Like
Yeah.
you hit the entire
If I've
globe.
traveled there and I've learned about you, I'll probably talk about it.
Right,
you know.
right.
But it's more so just to let people know that, hey, it's not really what you guys think out there.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I know a lot of you aren't going to get to go to these places, but let me just clear some shit up for you real quick.
Here's your idea of what this is like, and then here's what's actually
Here's what the
going on.
media is showing you. Here's what I'm telling you.
Right.
Do you want the truth or do you want the media version?
Right. And when you started out, was that the thing that interested you the most, or was it by virtue of traveling so much that you became more and more fascinated?
I used to do just regular material, which is nothing wrong with that, but I think it was around 1996 when I was sleeping on Keith Robinson and Patrice O'Neill's couch in Woodbridge, New Jersey, and I had just done a special in Canada in '95, and I brought it with me on VHS, and I was all proud. I go, you guys got to watch this, and they watched it and go, you think that shit's funny? And I'm like, I don't know. It got it nominated for an award. I got fan mail from it. I thought it was pretty good. You know, and at 96, I'd only been doing stand-up 7 years at that time. So they basically told me, like, you know, you need to write stuff that only you can do. Yeah. And you know Patrice and you know Keith. They don't tell you shit. They yell it at you. Like, motherfucker, you need to write some shit that only you could do. Any one of us niggas can go up there and do that shit. Any motherfucker can go do that.
They're so exasperated.
Yeah, they really get in your head. I decided if I need to make those two laugh. I need to make them respect me, and they never will give you your due.
Oh, no, not at all.
They love me to death, you know? They love you to death, but they will never, ever let you know. Like, I remember seeing Patrice maybe in 2008, and it was after things had started really going well, 2007, 2008, and he goes, look, and he stops and does that thinking, you're not that fucking funny that you should have all this. And I go, hey, I never said I was. But it's your fault I have all this now. How about that?
But yeah, because that advice really is the crux of what it means to be a unique performer, to have a point of view that somebody else couldn't just take it and do it and have it work the same.
Yeah,
like it's got to be, it's the combination of the subject matter, it's how you phrase it, it's the delivery of it, it's all those things coming together.
It's tone, it's intent, it's all, you know, not to say I'm in the elite group, but I guess the upper echelon of comics carve out their own niche. And at that point, people will be compared to them.
Right.
So, lucky for me, I'm the first Indian guy.
Right.
You know? Right. So now any Indian comic, like, oh, you're trying to be like Russell Peters?
Right.
And then there's guys that go way out of their way to not be anything like me. And then they end up just being like the other people. And I'm like, well, you're not really winning on either side of this. You just really just be you.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
I wasn't trying to be anything else. I was just trying to be me.
Yeah.
You know, this is the way I saw things, this is the way I thought, and they let me tap into that.
Growing up of Indian descent in Toronto, sometimes kids gave you a hard time?
A lot of times.
Yeah.
Most of the time, in fact. Yeah, it was a combination of being picked on and then having a smart mouth. That doesn't help.
Right.
And I was a really small kid. Like in 9th grade, I was 4'11" and 75 pounds.
Wow.
And it didn't help that I was a little b-boy, so I would wear like these baggy pants and bandanas on my wrists and a bandana on my head like Karate Kid. And I just wanted to break dance and battle everybody.
You were so many legs were being swept.
And I was just like, come on, who wants some of this, right? And because I literally fell for the whole thing. Remember around '84 when breakdancing was at its peak, they were like, and gangs used to do this as a way of not fighting. This was a way of battling. And I was like, oh, perfect. I don't have to fight people. I can just dance against them. And I really believed that. I'm like, come on, don't hit me.
Right.
You know, why would you want to do this? You know.
Let's do it where the worst case scenario is I lose the dance contest.
Yeah. So I'd get beat up and be doing this at the same time. And then I was 15, I was about to change high schools, and I was like, I'm not gonna get beat up. And the new school was a real tough school. So.
Oh, so you knew heading in there?
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I already got shit beat out of me in the first high school for two years.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it, and I hated everybody in that school. And then one of my good friends growing up was a boxer. My dad used to box in India too, so he was like,
oh, really?
Why don't you go to the gym with Willie? And I was like, all right. So I went to the gym with Willie, and I started boxing, and never got beat up again.
Did you take to it right away?
No, I was horrible. It took me a long time to get my shit together. I couldn't figure out how to stand, and when the first time they put sparring gloves on me, I was a little kid. I was small.
Yeah.
And they put 16-ounce gloves on you. That's 1 pound on each hand.
Yeah.
If you don't have any strength in your body, 1 pound on each hand. Yeah, so I was like this, all right. And every time I threw a punch, it would just fall down, and I would get tattooed all day just because I couldn't keep my hands up.
Did you make it in time for the new school year to start?
Well, I had already started, so my confidence was already, nobody knew me yet, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it was funny because they were the less advantaged kids as far as financially goes in this other school, and they were a little more hood. But it turns out I relate better to them than I did the other school, the more preppy, middle class kids. I assimilated phenomenally well with with the hood kids.
But you were ready just in case.
And the real thugs out there don't just bully people. They weren't like out there to start shit with you. You know,
Right.
They were real badasses.
Right.
So they weren't like, what are you gonna do? There was none of that shit in that school.
Right.
It was like, you fuck with them, you're gonna get in trouble. You know, you're gonna have. But I never had any problems in that school. 2 fights I got into. One I broke a guy's ribs, and the other one I tore some ligaments in the guy's leg by throwing him. I was scared shitless because the guy was huge, and I went ah, and I threw him, and then his legs hit the stairwell, and I was like, whew. And he had his head at the wall and goes, what'd you do that for? And I was like, stop fucking with me. And I walked away like I meant to do that, but I was like, I can't believe I did that. I was so glad he never got up because I would have got my ass whooped.
Disciplines from boxing that you feel you were able to apply to stand-up?
I think everything in boxing is just like stand-up. You're the only one up there. You're the only one who can control what's going to happen. And some nights you have a great night where you knock them out. And then some nights you have to go the distance and possibly win a decision. Right. Sometimes you draw, sometimes you lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got to go in with a game plan, but you're not sure what they're going to do. They may throw something out of left field at you, and then you got to roll with it. And if you're just going to be stuck up there with your act, then you're not going to be able to roll with it. And I pride myself on being quick on my feet and talking to the crowd. That's something I think I shine at. Do
you think it's harder to turn around a fight against someone who's got you on weight, reach, height, or is it harder to turn around a stand-up set with a crowd that is just drunk?
When they're drunk, there's no winning, you know what I mean?
Exactly. It is just biding time at that point.
It is, you're biding time and you end up becoming abusive to a certain degree, you know what I mean? It's like getting into a fight with a drunk person. You just hit them and they're not gonna fall down because they're too drunk. So you just abuse them and you don't even mean it, because you know they don't mean it. And you're just literally like, all right.
I have fulfilled my contractual obligation.
The funny thing with comics is the worse it's going, the longer we end up doing. Because we're hell-bent on winning them over.
Yes. To me, the worst feeling is when you realize, oh, I thought I was going to turn that around.
Yeah.
I really thought I was going to go out on a high note and I was going to be able to make it happen with these drunk idiots.
Never happens.
Yeah.
Never. And then they come up to you, man. Hey, that was me yelling out. Huh? I helped you with your show. Yeah, you helped it, you fucking asshole.
You are ranked the 7th highest paid comedian, according to Forbes magazine.
Correct.
Who's number 8?
I don't know, but I remember I was tied for 10th one year.
Oh, do you remember who you tied?
Yeah, shit, he's in Vegas and he has puppets.
Jeff Dunham?
No, the lesser version. The one who was on America's Got Talent or something. Whatever, I was tied with him for 10th. And then I bumped it up the next year. I hope they do another list this year, because I'm sure I'll be higher. But I'm sure Kevin Hart will be taking the fucking number 1 spot for sure.
As a fellow comedian, I need to ask you about Source Code.
Okay.
You've done tons of acting. Source Code, which is a science fiction time travel kind of thing, and you play a passenger on this train where these scenarios are being replayed over and over again. Subtle changes every time, every 8 minutes. Because your character is a stand-up comedian.
He's a bitter stand-up comic.
Yes. You do stand-up comedy on this train for these passengers. As a comedian, I'm asking you, was that extremely awkward?
It was awkward, but it was cool because the director, Duncan Jones, who's David Bowie's son, by the way.
Well,
I'm sure I freaked him out because I kept asking him, is your dad coming to set?
Right. How often does he come by where you work?
And then I'd be humming like Bowie tunes. Fame. What? Cut? Action? Okay, ready, let's go. But in the movie, they had written some material. And then Duncan pulled me aside and goes, don't do that stuff. It's obviously shite. Right. Do what you want to do. And I go, well, I wouldn't do my act because I don't want to give my act away to the movie.
Yes.
And besides, I'm playing a character, so my character wouldn't do that material anyway. So he said, just do what you feel like doing. So I just winged it.
Right.
The whole thing.
Right.
My name was Max Danoff, and I was, it's made stuff from that.
So at the time, did you feel more like an actor portraying a stand-up comedian than a comedian?
Only when I was sitting down. When I got up to do comedy, I felt like me again.
Right.
And I had to somehow remember that I'm not me.
Right.
And that the stuff I'm saying, it can't be like me.
You mentioned earlier you were a little b-boy when you were in high school. Is that when you started DJing?
85 as well, yeah. 85. Because breakdancing kind of fizzled out, and hip hop was so new at that time, and the only place you were going to hear it was if you played it yourself.
Right.
And I was like, I need to still hear this music. I love this music, and I love this graffiti, and I still love breakdancing, but it wasn't cool to do anymore.
Right.
So I'd be like in my basement practicing by myself, and then when I realized I just looked like a weirdo, I got turntables and I started DJing.
Which you still do to this day.
To this day. In fact, this morning, I'm not making this up, you're from Philly, so you can appreciate this. Jazzy Jeff was staying at my house.
He's the DJ.
Yeah, he is the DJ, in fact. And it's so cool because I'd wake up and I could hear him DJing in my turntable room, and I'm like, that's Jazzy Jeff just waking me up with some turntables right now. That's amazing.
Too early though?
No.
No? Right on time?
That's good. And then he was hanging out in my room. I was on a conference call, and my daughter was in the room, and Jazzy Jeff was there, like talking to me, and I'm trying to have this conversation. My daughter's 2, so she's walking me around my room, holding my finger, and like, da, da, da. And then Jeff's trying to have a conversation with me about stuff, and I'm on this speakerphone with, yeah, covering the mouthpiece.
Russell, did you just covertly pitch me a sitcom?
To the show.
Cheers. 6 seasons in a movie. When's the last time you did any breakdancing?
I think I last attempted some real breakdancing. I would say possibly around 6-7 years ago. And that was alcohol infused.
Certainly.
And because sometimes now I understand that I'm going to be 43 this year, and your bone structure is not what it once was.
Well, that's true.
Your density's not as dense.
Yeah.
And I remember the last time I did it, I must have got drunk. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do a windmill. And I went to do a windmill, and it was marble, the floor, which is always a bad idea. And then I woke up the next morning, both sides of my knees are bruised, and my hips were bruised, and my shoulder was sore. And I go, oh my God, what did I get into a car accident? They're like, no, you tried to windmill last night. And I go, how did it look? Terrible. Because in my head, I was, that's all I cared about. Did it at least look good? And they were like, it was terrible. I go, didn't I get once around? They go, no, you fell. You went to do it, and your whole body went plop. And you still tried to continue the roll. And I was like, I'm clearly not cut out for that anymore.
Well, I wish I'd known. I would have had some of those little calcium shakes.
Calcium shakes and some cardboard.
Absolutely. Russell Peters, what a treat to chat with you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for having me on. And let me say that I'm actually a big Paul F. Tompkins fan.
That's very sweet.
Without knowing you, I would have been a fan. Like, I would watch you, and I remember watching you on those great shows, like the VH1 ones, the I Love the 70s.
Absolutely.
But even without those, despite those, I was a fan of your stand-up.
Well, coming from you, that is high praise indeed.
I really am.
Thank you very much.
I look, there's certain guys I look at, and I watch their act, and I go, fuck, I wish I could write like that. I really do.
That is very sweet of you to say.
Well, thank you for having me.
Don't edit that out.
Yeah, keep that.
Well, that does it for this round of Speakeasy. Please join me again when my guest will be a different person.
Can't believe you locked that person in.
I know, it was touch and go there for a while. But in the end, all they care about is their rider.
Congrats on that get.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check back every Monday to see who I interview next. And for more info about Speakeasy, visit mademan.com.